Well, Molly, I don't think. Look, the draft isn't about fairness. That's really not what it's about. And I think the reason why I say that is because I've said numerous different times. This whole process is very subjective. All right, it's very opinionated. There's human beings who are trying to assess players and their fit relative to the NFL and relative to their own, individual franchises. And that's an ongoing year-long process, multi-year long process, because scouts, even though we're primarily concentrating on Shedeur, this year and maybe even last year, it's one of those things where they're compiling a bunch of information both on the field and off the field for a number of different months. And then as it gets down to the wire, there's a lot of things that come into it that really don't have to do with your play on the football field, in particular quarterback. And there's a lot of other people that come into the whole thing when you're talking about then trying to set your final board. I think with Shedeur, look, I've said this numerous different times. This was not a on-the-field thing for me, because you are not going to ever tell me that Shedeur Sanders was worthy of a fifth-round selection based strictly off of what he did on the football field. What this came down to is somewhere in the off-the-field process, okay, when you're trying to assess someone's personal and football character and whether or not they feel as though it warrants a certain level or a certain price to be paid in order to acquire his services,